Hey everyone, I am Mayor Roger Reinert. Welcome to another edition of our podcast. Welcome to Duluth. Just a reminder, these are conversations we have with various folks in our community. We try to talk about some city services. We talk to some folks that really have done some amazing, inspiring things. We focus on some nonprofits in our community, and then we talk about big events that happen. And today we've got a treat because we're going to cover a couple different categories. So with us today is Ryan Temple. Ryan is one of our DPD police officers. And we'll talk a little bit about Ryan and Ryan's story, but Ryan's also here to talk about Special Olympics, which is something that DPD is very involved with. So welcome, Ryan. Appreciate you taking time to be here today.
Thanks for having me, Mayor.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
So let's start a little bit with you. Like, what's your story? How did you get to Duluth? Are you native? Are you a transplant?
I'm a transplant. So I grew up in southern Minnesota, down in Rochester.
Oh, all right.
Graduated down in Rochester, went over to Mankato State for college.
I did my grad school at Mankato State.
Excellent college.
Yeah.
Minnesota State, I guess we have to call it now.
No, I don't know.
It's always Mankato.
We're of an age where it can be
it's Mankato State.
Right?
So I graduated with my law enforcement degree in Mankato, or down in Mankato State. I applied up here. I got hired with the Duluth Police Department 6 months after I graduated from college.
Okay.
Haven't looked back. That was over 28 years ago now.
Wow. And so DPD is the only department?
So I worked just part-time in Olmsted County as a reserve deputy, which is around the Rochester area.
Yeah.
And then this was my first full-time job, and I was excited to get hired in a bigger city with excellent outdoor opportunities, that type of stuff. We'd always traveled up here in the summer to go to the Boundary Waters, that type of stuff. So I was pretty excited to get hired up here.
A known destination.
Yeah, exactly.
So, did you always know you had an interest in law enforcement, or when did that path develop for you?
I don't have the great story like some people do. Sometimes people are like, because of this event.
Yeah.
But I always liked the public service.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was on a volunteer ambulance squad. I just always kind of felt that was something I wanted to do, something give back, which I think led me into some of this other stuff that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But I thought it was an interesting career to go into. I was excited about it. I did security down at Mankato State prior to graduating, so I got a little taste of the business down there and moved into it and haven't looked back.
So in your time with DPD, what does that career path look like?
Yeah, so when I started back in 1998, I was a patrol officer for about 13 years.
Okay.
Normal, that's the people you see on the street in the black and white squad cars.
Yep.
So I was a patrol officer for 13 years. During that time, I was on the honor guard. I'm now in charge of our honor guard, which we do funerals, swearing in ceremonies, state of the city address for you. I was a field training officer, helped train some of our newer officers.
Okay.
I was a member of our TRT, our Tactical Response Team, SWAT team, for about 7 years. After that, I said that was enough of patrol. It's kind of it's not cut out for everybody. It's kind of a young officer's game.
It's shift work, right?
Yeah, shift work. I had younger kids.
Yeah.
It was time to do something different.
Yeah.
So I then moved into sex crimes and child abuse.
Wow.
I did that for about 5.5 years. Actually a very rewarding position.
Okay.
You deal with some of the worst of our society.
Yeah.
And help some of the most vulnerable victims. So it was a rewarding position.
Yeah.
But it's a taxing position.
Oh my gosh.
It's not something you want to do for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
So I did that for, like I said, about 5.5 years, and then an opening in financial crimes came up.
Okay.
So I put in for the financial crimes position, interviewed, and got that position, and that's what I'm currently doing.
And we really, first of all, to back up, thank you, especially for that work with the sex crimes unit. Like you said, it's work, I think. I always say, when we think about our public safety team, it's work we all went down and most of us don't want to do.
It's not something that us as humans should have to see.
Yeah.
It's terrible subject matter, but it's something that is very important, something that needs to be done.
How did as somebody who was investigating those and interacting with those victims, what does self-care look like?
Yeah, that's a big part of not only working in that unit, but our whole career right now.
Yeah.
Mental health is huge in law enforcement and the public safety world. You got to find stuff to do outside of work. You got to have luckily Duluth has those experiences for you. You can get away from work. You can go
Yeah.
mountain biking, hiking, skiing, whatever,
Yeah.
You just have to find time to separate yourself
Okay.
from the job as much as possible. Sometimes it's difficult,
Sure.
That's why there's a lot of officers dealing with issues.
Especially in a big, small town, we have, like, one of the things we love is all our intersecting relationships. And then I got to imagine, like, when you're trying to do the law enforcement side of it, it's like, oh, yeah.
It's what we like to say. It's a big small
Big,
city.
small town, yeah, for
you
sure.
run into people. When I see somebody on the street, I'm like, how do I remember that person? Was it a good interaction or a bad interaction? So that's always.
And hopefully you remember before they do.
Yes.
So
So then I moved into financial crimes.
with financial crimes, I recall feeling like that really, I shouldn't say really became a thing, but like COVID and everything going virtual, like that kind of like put some, I don't know, extra energy in that. I think as a lot of people were using technology, maybe it was new to them. And,
Yeah, it has definitely changed over the years.
Okay.
With the internet, now with AI, with everybody texting on computers, phones nowadays, people are so vulnerable to scam attacks.
Yeah.
A big part of my job right now is dealing with scams.
Okay.
We could sit here and talk for hours about all the scams that our local Duluthians are falling for.
Okay.
People that we know are losing tens or hundreds of thousands of
It's
dollars.
not the telephone call from Africa anymore.
It's not.
Right?
No, and we're finding that some of our suspects, we always used to think they were overseas.
Yeah.
Now some of our suspects pulling these scams are here in the U.S., some right here in Minnesota and Duluth.
Wow.
So people need to be very vigilant.
And I have to think, made all the more difficult with the advent of AI and all the technological tools that are out there. I mean,
AI will be an interesting one.
become really hard. You think about like just online bots and trying to figure out like what's true and what's not true. It's really hard.
It is, and that's probably the most frustrating part of financial crimes is that I talk to victims almost weekly that are falling for these scams. And unfortunately, the reality of it is we're not going to recover most of that money.
Oh, sure.
Most of it is going into cryptocurrency nowadays.
Oh, wow.
Bitcoin, those types of things.
Okay.
Once somebody puts money into a Bitcoin ATM at a local gas station, that money's gone. We have very, very low success rate
I
in
didn't
getting
know
that
that
money
was a
back.
thing. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
on a side note, Minnesota just passed a new statute that as of the end of December, all of the cryptocurrency ATMs in Minnesota have to be removed.
Oh, interesting.
So hopefully that'll cut down a little bit more on the scams that are
Okay.
happening in Minnesota, but unfortunately they'll find a different way to
Wow.
scam our
Wow.
residents.
Okay. Yay. I'm glad you're there doing it.
That could be a whole nother.
Learn something new on it every time we have a conversation. So I want to shift gears and talk about something that maybe is part of self-care, but also certainly something that is fun, near and dear to my heart because I have a sister who's a Special Olympic athlete. But talk a little bit, or a lot actually, about Special Olympics. And maybe to start with, talk a little bit about what is DPD's connection, because I know it's a deep, long, strong one, and then your personal involvement.
Yeah, so Special Olympics has been something that DPD's been involved in almost as long as I've been there. One of the first things that I remember was I was approached by a family member, like you, of a Special Olympic athlete. They came up to me, they knew I was part of the Fraternal Order of Police, which is a fraternal order of officers here in the area. And they said, hey, what do you think about organizing a polar plunge in Duluth? What a great location.
How did we not
could
already
jump
have one,
into
right?
Lake Superior. Exactly.
Yeah.
And Special Olympics Minnesota had a few around the state 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But so I thought, that sounds like a fun event. So I brought it to our organization. We did our first one. We didn't have a lot of plungers. I think we raised about $18,000 our first year.
That's still pretty good.
It was a success for our first year.
Yeah.
But from that point, we've now, the previous one was our 25th anniversary that we just did in February, which we were honored to have you plunging with us.
Fun to do.
So that's kind of my involvement that started with Special Olympics.
And just for growth, like how many buses?
Yeah,
Bus
so-
after bus after bus after bus.
Just the 2025 plunge had just about 700 plungers.
Wow.
We've had some years that were a little bit bigger. It ebbs and flows what the totals are.
Does it depend on the weather?
It does sometimes, and where we see that is if it's a really cold winter, a few weeks prior to our plunge, people don't sign up.
Oh, interesting.
They're like, it's too cold this winter, we're not jumping.
I thought you were going to say more people. Like,
no.
Hey, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it this year. It's like,
some people want it cold. We have had some plunges that we don't have snow. It's actually open water, and they run in, and they're like, this doesn't seem like a polar plunge. But yet they do polar plunges all around the country. And warmer climates, they just run into the ocean and run back out. To me, that's not a polar plunge.
I have to say,
we have a true polar plunge.
I was visiting my parents who are retired and live in a southern state now. And on TV, they're doing it in a swimming pool.
Yes.
I'm like, that's like, what is that? I mean, yeah, you're raising money for Special Olympics. I'm all for it. But like, it's not a polar plunge.
Yeah, and when we started the polar plunge in Duluth, we went right off the beach there down in the Indian area.
I remember that.
Yep, and we had to move when they did the Lake Walk reconstruction. It kind of changed the area. We didn't have as much access areas to put tents and stuff. So after that, we moved down to the end of Park Point down by the boat launch.
Yeah, on the Bayside.
Yep.
I think the coldest I've ever been was 2 years ago. There was no ice, so there was a dock, and you had to walk out and then jump in. And like, I got out and about threw up. I was I booked to the tent where there's heat.
Yes, and I
did not turn and look back to it.
I remember that year, and we had very strong winds.
Yeah,
it was so cold. We've had years like that, and we've had years, like you said, that are warm and no snow. So it's such a fun event. We have families that come down. We usually have costume contests. And we give away prizes where local businesses donate gift cards or whatever to us.
And really well done. Like, I mean, to 700 people, like just operate smoothly. People generally park in Canal Park and get on a bus and come out and do their thing and change and head on back. And everyone's having fun. I mean, it is, and it's fun to see, especially families that have, whether they're family members that are in Special Olympics or like maybe could be. It's just, it's fun to see that part of our community really on display.
It is, and we have all walks of life people coming down. I mean, business owners that have donated large amounts of money to, anybody, all you have to do is raise $75. We have a lot of Special Olympic athletes that plunge, which is fun to see them plunge. Some need a little bit more encouragement to get in. We do have a chicken there. If you chicken out, you can just throw the chicken in the water and walk back off the dock.
How am I hearing this now?
Yep. So luckily, you didn't know about it. So yeah, it's just a great event. It's put on by a very small group of us volunteers. There's probably 4 or 5 core members of our group that put it on, and then obviously thanks to the St. Louis County Rescue Squad, they volunteer their time. We couldn't do the event if they weren't down there for safety reasons. Knock on wood, in 25 years we haven't had any need for Gold Cross or Mayo Ambulance now. That's or fabulous. Rescue Squad, a few cuts here and there, but no major incidents.
So if you raised 18 in the first year, how much did you raise last year?
So last year we were just over 100,000.
Wow.
Which was down. Unfortunately, our numbers were down a little bit this year, whether it's the economy, people are busier and busier all the time. But our grand total, which we're pretty proud of, is just over $3 million.
Just in Duluth?
Just in Duluth.
That's amazing.
So, that's from something that started just 25 years ago. And
there's somebody saying, hey, what about this?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's thanks to the community.
Wow.
That's, taken it on and plunged.
And it's usually, it's in February.
Yep, usually February.
And do we know the date for 27 yet?
I don't. I think it's the 21st, but I'd have to.
Watch, folks.
It'll be that weekend.
Come down and join us. We will be there. So you were telling me off camera that this is part of the polar plunge, maybe something that a lot of folks know, but it's connected to some other events that also have DPD law enforcement connections. So tell me a little bit about those. Yeah,
so the Polar Plunge is one of a few fundraisers under the umbrella of the Law Enforcement Torch Run.
Okay.
So the Law Enforcement Torch Run was started in 1981 by the police chief down in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
The chief at that time, they were having their games in Wichita, the state games, and he decided to have some of his officers carry the torch, which we call the Flame of Hope.
Okay.
So he had a number of his officers, I think it was like 5 the first year, carry that through a neighborhood in Wichita. And everybody was like, wow, that's really cool to get law enforcement involved in Special Olympics.
Yeah.
Well, since that day, the Law Enforcement Torch Run, as kind of the parent company, has raised over $1 billion
Wow.
for Special Olympics.
Wow.
So it encompasses, I think it's like 30 different countries now.
Okay.
It's international. I attended a Law Enforcement International Torch Run conference in the Bahamas a number of years ago, which was such a neat experience you meet athletes and law enforcement officers from across the world.
Yeah.
So besides that kind of being the beginning of it, it also encompasses Cop on a Rooftop, which I was just at this morning prior to coming here, so it might be a little sunburned.
Yeah. They are actually, I learned that they are actually on the rooftop.
We were on the roof.
I was in the window as well. It's like, well, you can't be on the rooftop and take donations. So.
When I was on the roof this morning, and then one of the local news stations showed up and they wanted an interview, so I had to come down.
Okay.
So we did that today. I don't have our final numbers, but I'm guessing we raised close to $2,000 today. And that, again, is just an event where we had law enforcement officers from this area. We had state troopers. We had St. Louis County Sheriff's Office there. Yep. We had agents from the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and then the Duluth Police Department, along with numerous athletes. We had a lot of athletes and their families show up today to help. Neat. And all that is we just approached people that were at Dunkin' asking, hey, if you want to make a donation to Dunkin' Donuts, here's a coupon for free donut, free coffee.
Oh, so nice participation from them too.
Yep, exactly. Right. Dunkin' is a big contributor to Special Olympics.
Oh, awesome.
So we partner with them for these types of fundraisers. There's also, we do a tip-a-cop, we call it. It used to be at Red Lobster. Now it's been moved to Texas Roadhouse.
Okay.
Where local law enforcement officers will kind of act as servers.
Oh, really?
Go around, fill people's waters. Basically the same type of thing where we ask for donations for Special Olympics.
Oh, that's fantastic.
When we do these fundraisers, all of the money stays locally in Minnesota.
Okay.
So all the money, doesn't matter if it's in Duluth or Rochester, all that money stays in Minnesota.
Okay.
So it's kind of nice to be able to tell people that.
Is that how Special Olympics is structured? There's like a sub-organization in each state?
Yeah, so every state has their own Special Olympics, and then they kind of are in charge of doing all the different events.
Okay.
So
now this year is significant for Minnesota. Tell me a little bit about why that is.
Yeah, so this year Minnesota was chosen to be the host city of the USA Games for Special Olympics. There's thousands of athletes that are coming to the Twin Cities in June.
Okay.
And because of that, with Minnesota hosting, we kind of want to show them the best of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Duluth was chosen as one of 12 cities in the entire country to participate this year in the Law Enforcement Torch Run.
Oh, wow.
So on June 16th, it's a Tuesday, we're going to be doing the Torch Run where we carry the Flame of Hope. This year we're going to be starting down on Park Point, down near the Coast Guard Station. We're going to run up Lake Avenue, come across the iconic lift bridge for everybody to see.
Yeah.
We're going to come up, go past the William Irvin. Everybody can see that. Go behind the deck, through Bayfront, back up to City Hall. Where we're going to do a little ceremony, a little festival, to kick off Minnesota's connections to the USA Games. So,
because the bulk of the activities will be at the U in the Twin Cities, right?
Correct.
So these are sort of events leading up to.
Yeah. So they said like the 14 largest markets in the U.S. And then Duluth was chosen as one of those markets to have the torch run.
Oh, fantastic.
Usually what we do for the torch run is we start at the edge of the city out by Brighton Beach. We have some bikers and some runners come through the city, go to City Hall, do a little ceremony, then take it out to the zoo or as far.
Yeah.
Well, this year we want to kind of show off the downtown part of Duluth. And
when we were talking off camera, that'll be the Tuesday of the week of Grandma's Marathon, the 50th anniversary. So sounds like there might be some Grandma's runners that join in and help support the athletes, run with the athletes. I got a chance to do it last year, help carry the torch, which is heavier than it looks, especially when you're running. But you were saying if folks want to come and celebrate these athletes and recognize the games being in Minnesota, a good option would be to come to City Hall at like 11:30 on that Tuesday.
Yeah, we're going to start on Park Point around 11. So whether they want to be in Canal Park, watch the runners come by. So one of the cool things about being chosen as one of these cities is that they're bringing about 75 athletes and officers from all the states that are going to be participating in the summer games.
Okay, to Duluth.
To Duluth to do this run up to City Hall. So these aren't just going to be local Duluthians that are running. These are people from all over the country.
Okay.
So yeah, they can either come and watch through Canal Park or come up to City Hall where we hope the weather is going to cooperate. We'll do a little presentation out by the fountain there. And,
yeah, for sure. We'll have to make it like a Special Olympics Day in the city of Duluth or something.
That would be great.
Day. Like, get to do those fun mayoral proclamations. Will you then go down to the cities? Are you going to, well, we have Duluth folks involved with what's happening in Minneapolis?
I know there'll be a few of us going down, hopefully to help out.
Okay.
That's another part of Special Olympics is not just raising money, but going to their events.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's unified bowling, joining a bowling team with some of the athletes, or afterwards handing out the medals at the events. You know,
that is my sister's favorite event is bowling. She is very serious about her bowling. And they, you know, her games tend to get a little worse as she goes on, and then she gets like frustrated. But like when she is game on, she is all about the bowling.
You know, and for those kids that are athletes, it's not even about winning.
Yeah.
For a lot of them, it's to see the smiles on their face,
right?
Just to participate and to hang out with law enforcement officers. It's just to see that bond.
Yeah.
Is bigger than winning.
Yeah. And I think that's what I've seen too, having a sibling participated in, you know, as a kid and now, you know, she's in her 40s as an adult, to see the way that these athletes embrace the competition the way we would want everyone to.
Sure. Yep.
But usually doesn't happen. Like you don't see a lot of like parents trying to live through their kids or, you know, anyone getting overly discouraged or upset because something didn't go quite right. You see a lot of supporting each other, encouraging each other, like giving tips or like sharing. It's just, it is to me, it's always like, that's how the spirit of sport should be, is what those kids exhibit.
We could learn a lot from them.
Yeah, for sure. So what are you most excited about with Minnesota being in the spotlight and Duluth being in the spotlight this year?
I think it's just a great opportunity for everybody around the country to see what we have.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people think Duluth, oh, Minnesota up north, it must just be snow and ice. And, you know, for them to see what a great area this is in the summer.
Yeah. Well, thankfully today, you know, the day we're recording this, like we turned the heat up.
If we could reproduce today on June 16th, that would be great. If you have any pull.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah. You never know. That would be great.
Yeah. Well, it was really, I got 2 years ago, I know I met with the athletes as they set out. Last year, I was able to work my schedule to actually run with them, and it was fun to, at least a portion from City Hall to Heritage. And it was fun to have the street closed, and like the athletes got to like own the street and have a squad escort, and there was both a torch and I feel like I carried a flag for a while too.
And I just this morning at Duncan at the fundraiser, I was talking with one of the athletes that's super excited this year. She's going to bring her bike.
Oh.
Because she struggled last year, she said, with the run.
Okay.
So this year
she's going to ride her bike?
Yep, she's going to ride, and she was so excited. She said, I don't want to have to get picked up by the bus. Because we do have a trailing bus if people need to be picked up.
Sure.
And just the excitement, you know, just to be part of the torch run for her. And she was telling me that she's going to do a cruise apparently to the Bahamas.
Oh.
And she's going to run the torch run in the Bahamas with a group of people. You know, and so again, it's an international thing.
Yeah.
That she can now meet some athletes from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
And we maybe should have asked this question before we kind of got into all the logistics. But I mean, who do you see as athletes that are participating in Special Olympics? Like ages and sort of abilities. What has been your experience?
You know, I would say for me, what I've seen is probably more kind of the middle age adults.
Okay.
You know, whether it's from their 20s to 40s.
Okay.
All different ability levels. You know, Special Olympics is designed for anybody with an intellectual disability. So that can, as we all know, can vary greatly.
Right.
You know, so we've got some athletes that do some public speaking that maybe you don't even realize that they're an athlete. And then you have some other athletes that have more difficulties. But they all compete together. It doesn't matter their ability in these events, so that's what's pretty neat is they're so accepting of each other as well. They don't see their differences,
Right.
So that's great.
Right. Have we ever had events in Duluth? Like, what would, again, knowing that there are going to be things happening in the cities, I guess I don't know if we've ever hosted in Duluth or.
We do. The local athletes have different events, whether it's floor hockey games. The incline station hosts a lot of the bowling events.
Oh, okay.
There's some swimming going on.
So is that like the I mean, I'm trying to think of the comparables that viewers might be thinking of. The competition at the University of Minnesota is going to sort of be like nationals that might qualify for something bigger.
And I'm not the expert when it comes to how they qualify for these different events.
Well, we can just make it up.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. No. But I assume they have to place at a certain level, whether it's at a state or local level to move up to the USA Games. But I know there's I think they said over 3,000 athletes that are coming. So I'm guessing they give everybody the opportunity to participate in some way.
So kind of reviewing the calendar of events we had, we're recording in mid-May. We just had the Cop on a Roof fundraiser. The Torch Run is coming up on June 16th.
11 o'clock. We'll
start down at Canal Park, and you're encouraged to come out and be along the route. Come to City Hall at 11:30 to greet the athletes. I'm learning today, like athletes that'll be from around the country.
Yes,
like
officers and athletes will be coming here to see Duluth and to run with us.
The Polar Plunge will be in February. So, and when are the games happening in the cities? Do you know?
So that starts June 20th. So just a few days after.
Oh wow! Okay.
We're at the very end of the Torch Run. So the Torch will be, I believe, the first event is the beginning of June in New York City at the Statue of Liberty.
Oh wow! So, how appropriate.
Yeah.
Neat.
So they're going to start there, and then they're going to progress. There's two legs, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. Then they're all going to kind of meet in the middle. Do a big event in the Twin Cities, and then kick off the USA Games on June 20th.
And I love that, with Minnesota having a significant role, Duluth having a significant role, and then it being like this, really memorable year for Grandma's Marathon, that there's a connection there that, folks found a way to support each other, and especially for the Grandma's team to help support these Special Olympics runners, especially around the Torch Run.
Yeah, and we hope this is just kind of a new partnership with Grandma's, so we hope in the years to come that we can turn this into more of a public Torch Run event.
Oh, that'd be really fun.
Get more people to come out, make a donation to Special Olympics, join the athletes, join our normal run across the city.
Because it's usually right about that time. I mean, I feel like it was during the week of Grandma's last year that we did.
It is, because that's always where there's the national games. This year it just happens to be in Minnesota.
So that would be really fun synergy. I mean, as a runner, it was something I found really special and meaningful. And I'm sure it's something that others would enjoy, having the opportunity to come alongside these athletes and participate in that too. And trust me, if you want to carry the torch, be ready for that. So, coming back and talking a little bit about that DPD connection, do you see, as a member of our team and somebody who's been involved now for years and years, where do you see the intersection between working with these athletes and helping support this event and, and the public safety work you do all the time?
Yeah, I think it's just a great example of what our law enforcement officers do every day. We're part of the community. We give back. This is an event, like I said, that was started in Kansas. It's now nationwide that law enforcement officers are involved. We've had a good history here at Duluth Police Department. We've always had the support of our administration.
Great.
The last couple of years, Chief Sanoa has jumped in.
Usually Chief and I go first.
Yep, done the Polar Plunge with us.
Yeah.
So, that's huge. We have the support of the city administration with you joining us, So I think as an older officer, to try to instill that kind of volunteerism into our younger officers, that this isn't just a job. It's something to give back to your community. When my core group of people organized that Polar Plunge, we're not getting paid for that. We're
Right.
giving back to the community.
Right.
That's all volunteer for us.
Right.
That in today's society is starting to get lost.
Yeah.
We need to instill in the younger officers and the younger people to give back, and we're starting to see that, and it's rewarding to see those younger officers. And once they come to one of those events and they see the athletes and they see the high fives, I think they're like, wow, this is something totally different than my job. It's
Yeah.
something that I can give back, I can do. It's not stressful, it's fun,
Right.
you know. So for them to come and give and just to keep that history of our department cooperating with Special Olympics, raising money, giving back to the community is pretty rewarding.
And I was going to say rewarding, encouraging, supportive. You know, coming back to something we talked about earlier, like where do you find opportunities for self-care, either individually or through the work. I have to imagine that opportunities to do things that are like supporting the Special Olympics athletes, kind of fill the bucket back up again, if you like that expression.
Yeah, and you know, don't ask my wife, but I'm a little stressed out before the polar plunge, before certain events, because it's a big event.
Yeah.
That we're law enforcement officers. We're not
Event coordinators.
Exactly. So for us, you know, and then the event happens, and you're like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, for the 25th year, it went off without a hitch, which
Nice.
it always does.
Nice.
So, you know, just it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it's so rewarding, and to have different organizations that have helped us out, made donations to these events. Another event that we have coming up, usually in the fall, is with Texas Roadhouse. I think we
Okay.
did talk about that a little bit, but
Yeah.
that'll be coming up this fall also.
The server.
Yep,
thing,
and at
so-
that event, we'll have some law enforcement vehicles outside Texas Roadhouse that
Okay.
families can go through, just kind
Is
of
it kind of a
see.
one day?
It's just a
Okay.
one evening event.
Do we know the date offhand?
I don't have that one
All
either right now.
We'll
so
find out.
we'll get
We'll
that.
put it in a copy when we post the video, because that sounds fun. I think too, I was going to share, I think from like a community standpoint, things like your involvement and the involvement of others in like polar plunge or supporting the Special Olympics athletes also helps the community remember that yes, our public safety team has an important role to play in law enforcement, in challenging things like the sex crimes you were talking about or financial crimes. But there's this huge service component too. And not only, our vehicles say to protect and serve, so it's fulfilling that, but what I've learned in this role about law enforcement is that having those community relationships just matters a lot. To be trusted as someone that folks can go to if they have if they're in trouble or they have concerns, or to not feel apprehension or even fear if approached by law enforcement around something. I mean, have you seen? Like how do you see that in the work that you've done now in almost 3 decades of policing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a huge thing, especially in today's world. How everybody critiques, everybody has their opinions. Yeah. So, and I always tell people that to think of us, we're just normal people out there in the community.
Yeah.
This is just our chosen career.
Right.
And when we see people at the polar plunge, I'll see somebody. They'll see me as just a person in my camouflage coat
Yeah.
doing the polar plunge. I may run into them on the street.
Yeah.
Possibly not their best day.
Yeah.
But they'll remember us.
Yeah.
Hey, I remember you. You were at the polar plunge, right?
Yeah.
Just those connections to see. Like I said, it's a big small town.
Right.
We run
Right.
into each other.
Right.
Our law enforcement officers live here, work here,
Yeah.
eat here.
Right.
To give back to the community. I think we have great public trust. We have a great city that supports us.
Yeah.
So I don't think that we take that for granted.
Yeah.
That's something that we have to work for day in and day out. And I think after the last 5 or 6 years, we actually get more thank yous, I believe, from people on the street for what we do. They understand the society we live in. They appreciate the role we have. And I think that's huge. And they realize, you guys are normal people. You're out there doing those events.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, it's work that everyone wants done. Like they don't want to do it, but they're glad somebody is. And I think something you said, Ryan, where when people can remember that, in my role or your role or many of the roles we have at the city, like they're real people doing that thing, who also have families and lives outside of this and hobbies and interests. And like you said, you might be encountering somebody on their most challenging day, but you had a connection around the polar plunge, or maybe they're something else that you're active in the community, and it helps humanize, especially for our law enforcement team, folks that can be characterized because they're in uniform and they
Sure.
have like the protection gear and all that kind of stuff. So the community engagement work that I think our team does and really does well, I think really helps with that in terms of engendering the trust and support of the community.
I agree, and I tell people that all the time. We're just normal citizens out there doing these events, just giving back. We like to show that we're just regular people as well.
Right. So in all the years of working with Special Olympics, what's a highlight?
Well, obviously organizing the polar plunge.
Yeah.
That's a pretty special thing for me.
Is there a jump that stands out? Somebody that you're like...
The one year I decided, I don't know why, I decided I was going to jump twice.
This is the thing, you can jump twice. I don't know.
You can jump multiple times if you really want. And
I don't know why.
we actually have a couple of the Special Olympic athletes that we see coming probably 3 or 4 times.
Really?
But I'll tell you what, that second time I jumped, the first time is cold. You've seen that. That second time when I hit the water, you're already cold and that water hits you, and it took my breath away. And I've plunged probably 20 of the 25 years. So I'm never going to do that again.
Good call.
But yeah, I would say the plunges are the most memorable.
Yeah.
Just seeing the faces on people when they come out of the water, the water hits, and it's just, it's such a fun event. And then,
I think to me, the jump in itself, I don't know why you do it twice. But then you're back and you're drying off and you're changing and you're getting into the other clothes you brought, and just being in the tent and just chatting with other people who are so proud of themselves for having done it or relieved that it's over or whatever it might be. And that camaraderie, I think, is really, it's one of my favorite parts of the whole event, the after, getting to thank people for coming, yourself and others who organize it.
You made it, you survived.
You survived. The 1 year out of all the years I've done it, it's only one where I'm like, oh my gosh. The other's okay, it's cold. It's fine. So, well, we got the cue to start bringing this to a close. And Ryan, we have 5 questions we ask every guest.
Sure.
And I know you were clued in on some of the topics ahead of time, but you have not gotten these questions. So they're not terrible.
Okay.
You're okay. Okay. Best place in Duluth to get pizza?
That's a good one. There's a lot of good places. I think I would have to go with Green Mill.
Oh, really?
They do
Interesting.
we like their pizza.
Okay.
Our kids like it. We like it. So
we had a previous guest who was a pizza aficionado.
Okay.
And unknowingly, this tripped a whole, there was a scorecard. It was a whole thing. Jeff, I still remember. So, all right. My favorite question of these 5, donuts or ice cream, and where?
Was that geared towards me as an officer?
No, it's it's geared towards me. Honestly, I'm a sweets guy, so no cop donut joke for sure.
So I would probably go with donuts as well. And you have to go with Johnson's Bakery.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's kind of a gimme.
Yeah, really, hands down. Yeah. I mean, Dunkin' that supported Special Olympics today, but I got to go with Johnson's.
No, we love Dunkin's for supporting, but Johnson's is local, so. What's your, and I realize that you probably end up working many of these, but favorite Duluth event of the year?
Well, Grandma's is a big one. My wife is a big runner, so she's a part of it. So we usually hang out afterwards. Okay. As long as she can keep walking, So Grandma's is big. Fourth Fest is always fun.
Fourth Fest is
Going down
fun.
to see Trampled by Turtles is always an experience. Any concerts down at Bayfront, that's just such a great venue.
It really is.
That a lot of people don't take for granted.
Yeah. So is she running the full?
She's doing the full this year. She's usually a half marathoner.
Yeah.
But this year being the 50th anniversary,
I'm like usually 5K.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I guess we're doing the full this year.
I've done the Irvin a few times. I was going to do the half a few years ago, and then I got injured.
Okay.
So, yep, I'll be taking my wife up the shore to run
Very good.
a few more times.
Meet her at the finish line.
So hopefully the weather's good on race day.
Yeah. Actually, what we don't want on race day is the weather
Exactly.
too hot. So.
Yeah, much colder would be better.
What is your favorite view in Duluth?
Oh, boy. I would say up at Enger.
Oh, nicely done. Yeah.
And, you know, with the pavilion there, it's actually where I got married about 7 years ago.
Okay.
So what a beautiful location there with the city and the lake in the backdrop.
Yeah.
So that, I would say that's probably about the best.
Good choice.
Best view.
That's my neighborhood, so good choice. The fall especially.
Oh, yeah.
So stunning. Okay, last question. When you have people visit, where do you take them?
I think usually down to Park Point.
Yeah.
You know, take them out to the beach.
Okay.
If you live in Minnesota, you don't usually see a 5 mile long freshwater beach like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, "You sure this isn't the ocean?"
Yeah.
You know, so.
I thought you were going to say polar plunge, of course.
Well, if they come up in February, they're going to be doing the polar plunge as well.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for taking time to visit with me today. You know, about yourself, about your career with us. Thank you for your service with the city of Duluth and our police department. And sincerely, as the brother of a Special Olympics athlete, thank you so much for years of involvement. Again, almost $3 million, over $3 million.
Over $3 million now.
Raised just from Duluth in support of. And, friends, if you are around, the date again is June 16th. Come and support these athletes as they run from Park Point to City Hall. You're welcome to be along the route, and then you're welcome to join at 11:30, where we sort of send the torch off to its final destination in Minneapolis. So
yeah. Thanks for having me. And if anybody has any other interest, somn.org is the website for Special Olympics of Minnesota.
Easy to remember. So thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of Welcome to Duluth, and we will catch you on the next one.